Yeah. I'd like to welcome everybody to my podcast. I am your gracious host, Jupiter Dine. And we got a special podcast, guys. We got a special podcast for you guys. Yo, we're going to talk about, man, the one, the only, man, the most underrated R&B entertainer there was, man, and that's Rick James, man. We're going to talk about Rick James, man. You know, everybody know about his trials and tribulations, and, you know, I think Rick don't get the credit that he deserves as a musician. He had the Stone City Band, he had the Mary Jane Girls, you know what I mean? He gave Eddie Murphy his only hit. He turned somebody into a singer who wasn't even an R&B singer, man. He was a comedian, and he wrote Eddie Murphy's hit, My Girl Likes to Party All the Time joint. But we're going to talk about Rick James, man. You know what I'm saying? I have my own little personal story about Rick James. Like, I didn't know him, but I knew people that knew him, grew up with him. You know what I mean? My uncle, you know, used to party with Rick James, you know what I'm saying, back in the day. I don't know how the hell he met Rick James, but he was a huge Rick James fan, man. And growing up, I didn't even know he was from Buffalo. You know what I mean? I didn't even know he was from Buffalo back in the day. I thought he was just some cat who wore a wig and all that. But, you know, that dress funny. You know what I'm saying? But once I got older and started really listening to his joints, man, Rick was talented as hell, man. Dude can write his butt off, man. Like, dude wrote for so many people, man. Like, you wouldn't even thought Rick wrote that song, man. I don't have the list here, but one day I'm gonna compile a list, man. I'm gonna compile a list of the joints that Rick wrote for people that you didn't have no idea that he wrote those songs for certain artists. But Rick was the man, you know what I'm saying? He is the true mayor of Buffalo, New York. He's the cat that said he was from Buffalo, New York and didn't blink. You know what I'm saying? A lot of cats from Buffalo, New York, a lot of cats from upstate New York and be fronting like they from New York City, man. You know what I'm saying? They be fronting, man. Know what I mean? They don't want to claim where they truly from. Know what I mean? I'm gonna name a couple cats, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm gonna name a couple cats from the city you probably didn't know that were from Buffalo. You know, Brian McKnight is from Buffalo, New York. Know what I mean? Stevie J, the producer for Bad Boy back in the 90s. You know what I'm saying? He's on now Love Hip Hop. He's from Buffalo, New York. Know what I mean? Black Rob, who passed away, last year? You know what I'm saying? People thought he was from Harlem. No, he's originally from Buffalo, New York. You know what I'm saying? He probably moved to Harlem. But, you know, I used to see Black Rob back in the day. You know what I'm saying? Hanging out on Broadway, you know? Asking people to wash their vehicle. Like, I don't know if he was on any type of like substance type thing back in the day, but I remember seeing Black Rob. If that wasn't Black Rob, his name wasn't Black Rob back then, you know what I'm saying? Because he wasn't rapping at the time. But I didn't know that was Black Rob, man. I was young, like, you know what I'm saying? Black Rob is way older than me, you know what I mean? So, you know, Black Rob's probably 50 something like that. He a few years older than me. So, you know, I used to see him. If it wasn't him, then it was a damn sure lookalike. You know what I mean? Damn sure lookalike. But I used to see him around the way all the time back in the day on the east side of Buffalo. Who else, man? Who else is from Buffalo? You know, the Goo Goo Dolls. You know what I'm saying? The rock band, the Goo Goo Dolls are from Buffalo, New York. Who else, man? Lucille Ball. If you remember the show from back in the day, the black and white show, Lucille Ball show, she's from the city. You know what I mean? Gronkowski for the New England Patriots, the tight end. He's from the city. You know what I mean? It's so many people, man. It's so many people, man. Buffalo has a lot of entertainers. Like, you wouldn't think that Buffalo don't have entertainers. Beverly Johnson, the supermodel from the 70s and 80s. I think she was on the first sister to be on the cover of one of those magazines from back in the day, model magazine. She's like the first to ever do it, man. Beverly Johnson, look her up. She's from the city. You know what I'm saying? So many people, man. Griselda, of course. You know what I mean? That's why we rock with Griselda so tough, is because, you know, they came out the gate off the rip saying they were from the city. You know what I'm saying? They didn't try to be anything else. They kept it New York. You know what I'm saying? They're not from the barrels and nothing like that. They're not from the city. You know what I'm saying? But, I mean, they kept it strictly East Coast. And they didn't try to sound like nobody else. That's why we rock with them so tough. That's why I rock with them so tough. You know what I mean? And I knew about Benny in the city. You know what I'm saying? My man Lorenzo used to know Lorenzo. He used to rap. You know what I'm saying? My man Lorenzo, but he moved to Atlanta years ago. I didn't hear from him again. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. He found him a wife and got married or whatnot and had a family. My man Zoe, you know what I'm saying, used to be in that circle where Benny and his crew, you know what I mean? He knew about Benny, and my man Zoe used to say Benny couldn't rap. You know what I mean? But I mean, I think over time, Benny just got better and better. You know what I'm saying? At the time when Zoe said that, man, this is back in 2000 and this had to be like 2006, 7 or something like that. You know what I mean? I haven't seen my man Zoe in years, man. But he knew Benny, you know what I'm saying, and his crew, and it was like a rivalry thing, man. He had the fam, had a little group called the Fam back here in Buffalo, and you know, it was like a little rivalry thing with them too, because they rap and Benny's group rap, you know what I'm saying? I don't know if he had the Black Soprano Mafia group back then, but I remember him being named Two Chain Benny or something like that. He used to wear the big buffalo chain and all that. I mean, because I remember him being in the newspaper back home, back in the day. So I remember the Tanner Talk joints that were on the underground scene. And everybody knew Benny, man. Like, you know what I'm saying? Benny been doing this thing for the longest. Like Conway, I didn't really know too much about Conway. And West Side Gun, I didn't know too much about them two, but Benny's been doing this thing, man. Like, you know what I'm saying? All upstate New York, like, know about Benny, man. He been, you know, doing this thing for the longest, man. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, I didn't know too much about Conway and West Side Gun, but I knew about Benny. Like, you know what I mean? I remember he used to come on people's window and, you know what I'm saying? He used to rap. You know what I'm saying? Like, just go ham and just go crazy for like minutes at a time, and just, over time he just got better, man. You know what I'm saying? He just got better. I think he's my favorite out of the group. You know, West Side Gun bring the swag to the group, and then Benny just bring the he reminds me a lot of Jay-Z and Cool G rap. You know, a little bit of Nas. You know what I'm saying? Benny's just dope, man. He's my favorite out the group. You know what I mean? But yeah, man, there's a lot of cats from, Buffalo has a real big music scene. Well, it used to. Definitely in the 80s, 70s, and 80s, Buffalo had a really big music scene. You know what I'm saying? A lot of artists came out of the city that you didn't even know was from the city. You know what I'm saying? And, a lot of cats don't claim upstate New York because of the stigmatism, I guess, coming from upstate New York. You know what I'm saying? It being a smaller cities in upstate New York. You know what I mean? So that a lot of people won't claim upstate if they're from upstate New York. They'll claim New York City to make, I guess it's a career move. They think it's going to better their career or whatever. But a lot of cats that say they're from the New York City, they're not from New York City. A lot of them from upstate New York. You know what I'm saying? Black Rob is one of them. He's from Buffalo. He, was born in Buffalo, but he claimed Harlem. I mean, I kind of see it if you moved to Harlem and, you did your 1-2 in Harlem, you know what I'm saying? Most of your life, I guess. But, him and Stevie J, they don't really claim the city. You know what I'm saying? They don't really claim the city. You know what I mean? But, it's whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, honestly, who really want to claim Stevie J? He's a clown. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's not a great representation of the city. You know what I mean? Brian McKnight would be a great representation of the city. You know what I'm saying? And other people that's from the city that represent the city in the proper light. But Stevie J is a clown, man. You know what I mean? I guess he moved to Rochester at some point. and ended up meeting Puffy, and that's how he got on. But yeah, man, Rick James, man, you know what I'm saying? I came across Rick. Rick used to, you know what I mean? Definitely back in the 80s. He used to come through in his limo, man, all the time, yo. He used to come through in the limo and just hop out anytime. Like, you know what I'm saying? Rick was wild, yo. Like, you know what I mean? Me and my friends were playing one day and it was snowing like crazy. So boom, we were gonna play in the snow, have a football game in the snow, and I was mad young, man. You know what I mean? And Rick pulled up on us. You know what I'm saying? Jumped out. I'm like, oh snap, yo, is that Rick? And he gave us like a couple bucks and all that and just left. Like, that's the type of stuff he would do. Like, he would do some wild stuff, just jump out and just get back in his limo and just gone. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, he gave us some money, a few dollars or whatever. I think he gave us like $5 a piece or something. Like, man, he cheap as hell to be rich. I don't know. But yo, everybody know Rick's story, you know what I'm saying? He was wild, he was a rock star, you know what I mean? Again, he don't get the credit that he deserved, you know what I'm saying? I think that's a Chappelle Show, ruined his image. You know what I'm saying? It ruined his what he gave to the game. It just made it non-existent. You know, Chappelle did such a well job, and the skit that he had on his show, and it was so funny that people forget that Rick James was actually talented. Just look at what he did in a little bit that he had in the movie Life. He's not an actor, but Rick pulled that off. That's what Rick was. He was multi-talented. Know what I mean? Look at the role he played in Life. Like, you really thought that was, like, for real, that he was that role. That's the type of dude Rick was, man. And I hate the fact that his drug abuse took him out so soon, man. He died in his 50s. That's young. I'm getting near 50. Like, that's young. You know what I'm saying? That's young. And it's sad that, you know what I mean, his you know, over the years, this is why I tell people, man, take care of yourself, man. Take care of yourself. Especially when you hit 29, 30, you better stop all that silly stuff, all that drinking, all that doing drugs. You know what I mean? Because all that stuff is going to catch up with you when you hit 40, 50. You know what I'm saying? You're going to have the results of all those years of abusing your body. And that's what happened to Rick, man. You know what I'm saying? All those years of doing drugs, partying, you know what I mean, and not taking care of himself, end up taking him out sooner than what he really should. Rick should still be here. You know what I mean? Rick died in 2004. He was that dude, man. He was that dude. And, you know, everybody now know about the feud he had with Prince. And, you know, who was better, him or Prince? Me, honestly, I think Rick was better. Prince's style didn't really, even though they both dress weird, like the way they dress, the way they dress and all that you know, that was the style back in the 80s, that flamboyant stuff. You know what I'm saying? The boots and all that, you know. It wasn't to my liking, but, you know, as far as like R&B singer and, you know, having that real music, like that real, like, don't front people. Like, nobody was really messing with Prince after Purple Rain. Let's keep it all the way funky, man. People acting like people were messing with Prince after Purple Rain. Yo, nobody was checking for Prince after Purple Rain, man. Like, come on, man. And then the few people were checking for Prince after Purple Rain is weirdos, man. You know what I'm saying? Prince started doing some mad weird stuff. He was wearing the booty cutout pants, and I'm like, yo, what the hell? Just all the way extravagant, all the way erotic type, man. Nobody wasn't checking for Prince after Purple. I know I wasn't checking for Prince after Purple Rain. You know, he did the soundtrack to Batman, which was dope. He did a couple songs on the soundtrack from the original Batman movie, you know what I'm saying, that came out in 89, 90? But nobody was checking for Prince after Purple Rain. Because Prince started getting mad weird. Like, mad weird. He started dressing weird, and you know what I'm saying? And his outfits got more feminine and more Just weird. Nobody went checking for. Well, I wasn't checking for Prince after Purple Rain. You know what I'm saying? That's Prince's best album, Purple Rain. If you can name me 5 Prince albums, you know what I'm saying? I'll give Prince the respect over Rick James. Hell, I don't even think people could name 5 Prince songs after the Purple Rain album. Nobody wasn't checking for Prince after Purple Rain. So how the hell people gonna, act like Prince was this just mega super crazy, R&B talent or whatever his genre of music was. I mean, he was talented, don't get me wrong. He played mad instruments and all that. That's talent. But musically, melodically, man, nobody will check with Prince after Purple Rain. People be fronting, man. People be on some, man, people on some BS, man. You know what I'm saying? Then, because Rick, I think it's because Rick is from Buffalo, yo. He don't get the credit that he deserved. It's because Rick is from Buffalo. He don't get the credit that he deserved. Rick got hits, man. I don't know what people be talking about. Rick don't have hits. Give It To Me, Baby was trash. Like, I didn't even like that song. That was just I won't say it was trash. I don't like that song. Rick got mad songs. Mad songs that's classics, yo. That's classics. Man, I'm gonna have to make a list of joints, man. I got joints on my phone right now. And it's not because he from the city and all that. It's just, I know why he don't get the respect. It's because, number one, he from Buffalo. You know what I'm saying? Number one, he from Buffalo. Number two, Dave Chappelle completely took the energy from it. Took the energy from his career. You know what I'm saying? Anytime you think of Prince, the new generation or the generation after me, you know what I'm saying? Think about think about Rick James. They automatically think the Chappelle Show. So Chappelle ruined his career. That whole Chappelle thing ruined his career. Nobody respect his pen game because of Chappelle. You know what I'm saying? Nobody respect his pen game because of Chappelle. And Chappelle did the skit with Prince, but it didn't do the damage that it did for Rick. Like, you know what I'm saying? Rick got hits, yo. Rick got hits. He got real songs. Not no, booty cutout songs and all that nonsense. Like, yo, man. Rick would put hands on you. Like, it's a bunch of times Rick wanted to, put hands on Prince. You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, man. And they get that twisted too because his outfit that Rick used to wear, that he was soft and Rick wasn't no punk, man. Rick did time in jail and it didn't come out with a scratch. Rick was known for fighting in the city. Rick was known for getting busy, known for getting in trouble. You know what I'm saying? Known for beating up people. Brian McKnight too. He was another one. Bad as hell. Known for beating up people. Him and his brothers used to beat up people. Know what I mean? You wouldn't think that either. You thought Brian McKnight was soft. Brian McKnight not soft. You go test Brian McKnight. He'll punch you right in your... You know what? He wasn't soft either. They used to think Rick was soft. Rick wasn't soft. Rick was crazy as hell. He'll put hands on you quick. But because of, the way he talked, you know what I'm saying, and the outfits that he wear, they thought he was, soft. Rick wasn't soft. He put hands on mad cats in the industry. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna name no names. You know what I mean? I've heard the stories. You know what I'm saying? Word travels around. I know people that know him. I know people that went to school with him. You know what I'm saying? Like, he put hands on people. Like, to see, you wouldn't know that, man. You thought he was just some crazy, coked out crackhead, you know what I'm saying, putting, burning chicks and all that. Like, know what I mean? Yeah, Rick was, messing around with doing a legal thing, legal activity, doing drugs and all that. But, don't get it twisted. He'll put hands on you, man. But, my moms knew his moms, you know what I'm saying? And she had stories she used to tell me, man. You know what I mean? Like, Like, Rick James is truly the true mayor of Buffalo, New York, yo. When I say that, I'm not just saying it because he's from the city. Like, he's the first, first one that blew up that said, I'm from Buffalo. You know what I'm saying? He stood on that. You know what I mean? The rest of the cats just, they stand on it when they need to stand on it. And then, they don't stand on it when, when they at the height of their career, they're from somewhere else. Like Brian McKnight used to say he was from somewhere else. I think it was Canada or something like that. I don't know. Like, they all be fronting. You know what I'm saying? They all be fronting. But I want to play this interview that was pretty good that he had back in, I think, in 98. It was a very detailed interview that he had. It's a very interesting interview. He goes into detail of his life and all that, you know what I'm saying? And I think you guys will enjoy it. So I'm going to play it for you. I hope you guys can hear it. I'm going to record it from my phone and let you listen into it, you know what I'm saying? I'm going to play the whole interview. It's 30 minutes long. So if you got something to do, please go do it and then come back. But I'm going to play the interview, you know what I mean? And I hope you guys enjoy the interview. So this is what Tom Snyder back in 1998. So check it out, guys. I'm going to play it right now.
Friends, welcome back, everybody. I'm TS, and the Colorcast is on the air now from CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System. It is Tuesday night, the 21st of July, 1998, and rock star Rick James is back with us tonight. And the story of Lisa Michaels, she'll tell it herself, a very unusual upbringing in the 1960s and 1970s, and of course the magic of you on the toll-free highway. I had an email today from a viewer who said, you haven't talked about Mother Snyder lately. Is she okay? And the answer is she's just fine, thank you. In fact, I went to see her today. And we paid another visit to the drive-through car wash. Remember the last time we went down there, she says, man, weather sure has changed. The water hits the car, right? The king of all late night and the drive-through car wash. Yeah. Wonder what the king is doing today? Drive-through car wash with Mother Snyder. So anyway, I pick her up. I said, Mom, why don't we take a little ride? I have to gas the car and get it cleaned up. And she said, fine, I'd love to go out. And she was in great shape today. So we drive down the hill and we go to this, it's called the bubble machine, right? And we get in the car wash, and she says, every time we come down here, it's pouring. So we went back to the to her residence, Mary Crest Manor there in Culver City. And Gladys and her magic violin were in attendance today. Tuesday is Gladys and her magic violin. And she's so sweet. I mean, she plays all the songs that all the ladies love, and they sing along, and they have a great time, and she takes requests. And Mother always has one. So after the whole thing is over, she introduces me to Gladys and the magic violin. And there's a new nun there who's in charge. I call her Sister in Charge. And I introduce myself, and once again, making a complete fool of myself, I said, by the way, I'm Tom Snyder's mother. I meant to say that, that I'm Mrs. Snyder's son, but I said, I'm Tom Snyder's mother. And she looked at me, she says, are you okay? I said, yeah. I said, every time I see the magic violin, I go a little crazy. But it was a great day, and I thank you for asking, and she was in great form today. Little Johnny missed his final exam because master of the
beautiful Prince of Blend.
Prince of Blend, that's right. King of all late night, Prince of Blends. Little Johnny had missed his final exam. He had the flu. But he had done so well during the year that his teacher suggested to the school principal they give him an oral exam to make up for the test he missed. And the principal agreed, so they called little Johnny to the office and explained to him what they were going to do. And the teacher said, Johnny, what does a cow have 4 of that I only have 2 of? Little Johnny thought for a second, and he said, legs. And the teacher said, Johnny, what do you have in your pants that I don't have in my pants? And Johnny thought for a second. He said, pockets. And the teacher asked, Johnny, what's the capital of Italy? And little Johnny said, Rome. Teacher turned to the principal, says, did he pass? Principal says, don't ask me. I got the first 2 wrong. Rick James is here tonight, and Lisa Michaels, and you on the toll-free. I'm Tom. You're watching CBS. Fire up the color teenies and catch the pictures now as we fly them through the air. The singer Rick James was the heart and soul of funk during the 1980s before he weathered the personal turmoil of prison and drug addiction. He now has his life and career back on track. His first recording since 1988 called Urban Rhapsody is out now. And next year, Rick publishes his autobiography called Confessions of a Super Freak. It's great to welcome you back to CBS, and thank you for joining us again. It's really a pleasure to see you. You look terrific.
Thank you for having me, Tom.
You've lost weight since you were here. You look fabulous.
You can tell. Thanks.
Yeah.
I'm glad somebody's noticed.
You look terrific.
Yeah.
Now, we talked the last time here about your tour of duty, as it were, at Folsom Prison. And then I want to ask you here, when you went back on stage the first time after you served your time in prison, what was that experience like for you?
Well, fortunately, when I went on stage, it was in Los Angeles. And fortunately, again, when I went on stage, it was a place called the House of Blues,
oh, sure,
which we played right before the tour.
Right.
And unfortunately, I was very, 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 very nervous. I think I was more nervous than I had ever been in my life.
Really? Considering all the times that you performed before huge audiences.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about 20, 30 years of touring, and it was terrible. I mean, I just had this stomach that wouldn't relax, and I was tense,
right.
and
do you think the crowd could tell?
No, well, I mean, this was actually backstage. I mean, this was before I went on, I mean, God, I hadn't played in front of a crowd in over 15 years, and I was bent, to say the least, and I couldn't just go. Usually cases like that, I'd take me some cocaine or something, and I in the old days, and I'd numb the feelings, and I'd go up, hey, half a bottle of Jack Black and some Cavassier and, half an ounce of coke, and I was ready.
Just leveled it out, right?
But this time it wasn't any of that, and I remember being in my dressing room, and Chris Tucker, fine young actor and comedian, he came to the show, and he was upstairs, he was up in the dressing room trying to get me cool me out, and another guy named Paul Mooney and Eddie Griffin. So I had these three comedians there who kept me really laughing, and they're the ones who brought me on. And I just remember stepping out there, and it was after I got out there, Tom, it was cool. It was like old nothing had changed. Yeah. It was like nothing had changed. And I was a little overweight, I felt, and I hadn't had my hip surgery yet, so I was still feeling a lot of pain on that. But, it's funny how, God gives you this thing, and then when it's time to do it, nothing stops you, All
the adrenaline gets going, and out you go.
It's kind of like the mailman.
Music starts to play, and you're with it. That's terrific.
Yeah, and it's just, it was like old times. And it was filled with a lot of entertainers and stars and celebrities, and they all made me feel wonderful.
That's terrific. Now, let me ask you here, what was wrong with your hip? I don't think we talked about that the last time.
I had a hip surgery. I had a hip replacement in February.
What'd you do to it?
It was nothing. It didn't have anything to do with drugs. It didn't have anything to do with alcohol, anything like that. It was just years of wear and tear using my right leg. I like to, when I'm on stage, you get a lot of that gyrating and stuff going on. A lot of that stuff hurts the hip,
Yeah.
And kicking, I used to kick a lot. Matter of fact, the doctors were calling it rock and roll hip because I think one of the Van Halen brothers, Eddie or his brother, one of them had it, and some other rock and rollers that I know had replacements. So it's just it's a common thing right now.
And also, since we saw you the last time, Rick, you've been on this tour, your first tour since you've been back. And I remember you saying that was it the parole board had to approve the locations that you went to?
Well, no, they didn't approve the locations, but they had to approve me every week that I went out.
Right,
I mean, the tour was for almost 6 months.
Right.
And what would happen is after the parole board were wonderful about the whole thing. They just wanted to make sure that I was going to have my head together,
right.
That I wasn't going to be out there using cocaine and all that kind of stuff, And I can understand that, it's natural. All my life I've done it, so why change?
Yeah. Now, how about you and cocaine? Is that finished now?
Yeah. Yeah.
Did you go to a program or do it yourself? How did you?
No, I mean, I don't think there's a such thing as doing it yourself. I mean, ending it yourself. You always need support, and you always need the help of others. Thank God I have a strong support group. I have friends and band members and associates, and there's a doctor. I was under doctor's care for about 6 months after I got out, and he gave me a lot of help. But basically, it was friends and family. You know, I mean, don't get me wrong, Tom. There's always a thing in the back of your mind. Sometimes you want to do it. I mean, I wake up in the morning and it's sunny and nice, and I think I'll do some cocaine. You know, it's really, you know, it'll be raining. Oh, I think I'll do some cocaine. You know, whatever. You know, anything can spark it.
How addictive is that drug? You know, I dabbled with marijuana back in the 70s and early 80s, I never went to.
Wait a minute.
I never went to.
Tom, I'm not hearing you. What do we dabbled with marijuana?
Yeah, we dabbled.
What else did we dabble with?
We didn't dabble with anything else. Never had the urge.
I like the way he looks over and when he says, we didn't dabble with anything else, Rick. We just, I don't think I've ever known anyone just to dabble with marijuana.
All right, I used it, okay?
Oh, okay, there we go. All right, smoke the hell out of it.
Smoke the hell out of it. Damn right. Okay.
No, cocaine is a funny drug because when I was let me tell you a little short story. When me and my band, the Stone City Band, were together, every album we made for the 15 or 17 years that we were making albums, and I'm talking about albums that sold millions of copies, every album we did, we never failed to have an ounce or two sitting right there on the console.
Really?
A big bag of Quaaludes, okay? Cristal champagne and Jack Black bourbon, and you know all at our beck and command right there. I don't think I've ever made an album other than for the last few years that didn't have cocaine, and I was snorting it. And we'd stay up for weeks making these albums, and we were doing like 3 or 4 albums a year. I was doing myself, I was doing Tina Marie, I was doing the Mary Jane Girls, I was doing the Stone City Band. I did Eddie Murphy under the same.
See, what I can't figure out.
But my point is, when I stopped snorting and started smoking, then that's when my addiction skyrocketed. Because after you have that first hit of cocaine, it's like a million to the difference is astronomical compared to snorting. I mean, there wasn't a rush in the world that I had ever had in my life, other than maybe sexually or something.
What I can't understand is how you can work when you're stoned. Because having been stoned, I knew when I was in that condition after smoking dope, I couldn't come in and do a show or do a newscast.
Marijuana was easy. I mean, we did marijuana. We woke up in the morning. We called it Mary Jane. We wrote a national song about it. You know, I love you, Mary Jane, that kind of thing. And, you know, we smoked all the time. We never really thought about it. And I think one of the ways we were able to make so many albums off it because the whole band did it. Everybody but maybe one guy in the band. The whole band did it, and we were all in accord with one another.
Right, so everybody's on the same wavelength.
Everybody was on the same plane. I mean, everybody was snorting, and everybody was creating, and everybody was singing. And this went on for 15 years, us making albums like this, you know, like before we went on stage, after we went on stage, during the making of the albums. Then about 15 years later, 17 years later, one day we sat and we had a one-on-one in the studio, and the whole dimension changed. It was like we couldn't make an album. I couldn't sit and make an album anymore. It's a very strange thing. I think I have to ask my doctor, why is that?
Yeah, ask him. Find out. Let me take a fast break. We're talking with Rick James. His newest CD is called Urban Rhapsody. The book still to come, Confessions of a Super Freak. Back with Rick and you on the toll-free as time permits after these messages. With Rick James, here's James calling on the toll-free in Springfield, Illinois. Hello there.
No, Springfield, Missouri.
Springfield, Missouri. My mistake. Hi, James. How are you?
Hi, Tom. I wanted to ask Rick. I saw a documentary on VH1 about him. And I know he was close to his mom, and I want to ask him what is the funniest, greatest story about his mother?
You know, I have so many stories about my mother that were hilarious.
I mean, real funny.
When my band, I'll tell you one quick funny story. When my band was staying at my house, they were staying, I had a bunch of members in my group staying at my house, and I lived in Orchard Park, and I had this indoor swimming pool and these horses, and I just wanted a bunch of people on. When my mother really thought that she didn't understand the concept of a band staying with one another, so one day she decided she got really upset, and she wanted everybody out, so of course nobody left. So she came down with a shotgun.
Oh, come on.
And she stood in my door and says, I want everybody's using my son. I want everybody out there. And I came out and I'm like got a robe on and she's standing there. I kill everybody. I kill them all. I said, Mom, this is my band. They live here. Hello. This is, I've got so many stories with my mother.
Mom took no guff from you growing up.
My mother didn't take nothing. If she thought, my mother raised 8 kids on her own through the numbers rackets, and what you know about that, right?
Right.
And she was all about anybody lay a hand on my children and they die. So she really thought, in that particular instance that I just told, she really thought I was being used.
Was she tough on your brothers and sisters? I mean,
she was tough on all of us, basically. I mean, basically.
Did she whack you if you got out of line?
We got what they call whoopings. What we got, nowadays they call it child abuse. I used to run and call the police on my mother.
Really?
Yeah, she'd want us to show, okay, everybody strip down. I mean, she wanted you actually to strip out of your clothes and get naked while she would get these ironing cords and tie them up. And she'd go to whooping and I'd run up in the bathroom and then when I knew she wasn't there, I'd creep out and, hello, 911, come and get this woman. She's crazy. She's trying to kill us. Come get her. She's nuts. Then as I grew older, I realized she was only 5'2". So one day I was like a 13 or something, and she went to get the ironing cords. I'm gonna tear you up. I brought you into the world. I'm gonna take you out. And she went and I grabbed her. I says, there'll be no more of this. There'll be no more of this. And she just, you hate me. And I know I don't hate you, Mom. I love you, but the whooping days are over.
Yes, they're over.
I mean, it was very abusive, Tom. To one hand, I can admit that after doing a lot of therapy and a lot of soul searching. Because some of us used to have to go to school and we'd have these horseshoes on us and we'd have to cover ourselves up and child services would come see her and she'd line us all in the bed and say, if y'all say anything, I'll kill you. And they'd come and say, are you beating these children? She says, no. It was a little big-eyed. No, I'm not touching them. They're just naughty sometimes. And my mother was a tyrant and a wonderful person at the same time. And I love her and I miss her dearly.
James, I'm glad you called. Thanks for being with us tonight. You're welcome, Tom. Nice to be on the air. Okay.
Good night, James.
Do you stay in touch with anybody you met in prison?
Yeah, there's a couple guys that I talked to. Believe it or not, I mean, when I was in prison, I basically dealt with the guys who were in there for like 15, 17, 20, 25 years. I mean, most of the guys that I met in prison, I'll say 90% of the guys that I met in prison, if they came out right now, they could share. I would break bread with them, and they would be my homies and my friends for the rest of life. They taught me a lot of things when I was in prison. A lot of guys pulled me aside because they knew that prison wasn't for me. They knew that kind of environment wasn't my kind of, which it's really no one's kind of environment.
Right.
And a lot of these guys, Tom, they got in incidents when they were drunk or they were high. They were defending themselves. And an altercation broke out and they happened to kill someone by accident, which is the same thing that would happen to you. If somebody jumped on you physically, you would protect yourself.
Defend yourself.
Well, a lot of these things happen to a lot of these guys. And the unfortunate thing about this is that a lot of these guys have been, these guys that I know that I'm speaking of, and that's for you, Bubba, and Rob Buns and all the rest of you guys there that my heart is. A lot of them may never get out of there, and all they were doing was defending their families or defending themselves. But they taught me a lot. They really made me grow up when I was there.
Like when you said they taught you stuff.
Well, they would pull me aside, and they would be, most of them missed the crack era and that cocaine type thing. And they would come to my cell and they'd like close the door and they'd sit me down 2 at a time and they'd say, look, you know, how the hell can you have millions of dollars, have a beautiful family, have this great career, and end up in here with us?
Yeah. Yeah. What do you?
They say, explain this to me. And crack. They say, crack. What the hell is crack? Had to do with you being here right now. You should be out there raising your children. You should be out there helping black kids get ahead. You are black. We need role models. We need black men to stand up. And I heard all of this kind of dialogue, and this was an everyday thing. And eventually it started to seep in.
Did it sink?
Yeah.
It sank.
Yeah,
right?
it sank. Yeah, it sank. That I do need to be out there. That crack is causing and dope is causing genocide amongst my people. that my people are dying every day. Not only my people, your white people, yellow people, red people.
Every kind of people.
Day. Women are selling their babies because of crack. People are killing and doing gangbangers because of dope.
And the thing that you have to emphasize is that if you look at notable people such as yourself, I can't think of anybody, nor can you, that cocaine has helped.
No, you know what? It kicked my ass for many years, and trying to explain this to them was like really battering your head up against a brick wall, because basically they didn't understand the crack thing. I don't know how I got addicted. I don't know why I'm a drug addict, recovering drug addict. I have no idea. All I know is that what I learned in prison, they tell you jail's institution death. Well, God knows I had OD'd enough times, and God knows I had been in enough institutional rehabs, so death was really right at my door. That was my next option. And a lot of times it was a wonderful option, because a lot of times I actually did drugs hoping to OD and hoping not to wake up. And then after analyzing that, after being straight and sober and analyzing that, saying, how could I possibly want not to enjoy this life, have these beautiful children? I have, God knows, not many black people come out of the ghetto and all of a sudden from drinking Ripple and drink Cristal and sit on the Tom Snyder show or deal with, I mean, whatever the case is, I have a responsibility.
Or become famous and beloved by their fans.
Or become famous with all this adulation. Exactly. Sell millions of records, and to just want to throw it all away.
So like those guys said to you, what are you doing?
And I had no answer for them. But they did tell me, well, here's what's happening. We are going to support you while you're here, and we're going to watch your back while you're here. And we're going to teach you everything you need to stand up while you're here. And then we want to see you walk out of here. But don't come back here. Mm-hmm. Don't you ever come back here.
Or else. But by the way, did anybody try to take you on when you were in prison?
Anybody try to do me?
Yeah.
I mean, physically?
Yeah, beat
or
you up?
Sexually, Tom?
No, beat you up.
I had one altercation with a bald-head Russian type Aryan racist in a place called CIC. But after I whooped his ass, I didn't have any more problems, you know.
Word does get around, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, everybody know I'm not no punk. You know, number one, I mean, the whole bottom line is I had a blanket of love in prison because I'm real. I mean, if I had walked in prison with some kind of uppity attitude, if I had walked in prison thinking that I was this or I was that, which I have never thought, I have never put myself on any kind of pedestal. If anything, I put myself under a pedestal. The only spirit on a pedestal in my life is God Almighty. That's it. Every man is the same. You know, you bleed, you cut. You know, I don't. You know, if I'm not about all that. If I had went there with a funky ass attitude, yeah, I would have been done. I mean, because there are plenty of guys. I mean, I'm not saying I'm not Bruce Lee, and I'm not just super Mike Tyson. But I mean, I'll fight and I'll defend myself, you know, and that's the bottom line. Ain't nobody taking no butt from me. I mean, Bubba didn't walk in my cell and say, "It's about time, Rick, super freak this." You know, that didn't happen. Matter of fact, me and Bubba became great friends.
Let me pause here. We're chatting with Rick James. CD is called Urban Rhapsody. We'll be right back after this break.
And I'm going to cut it right there, man. Like I told you guys, Rick ain't no punk, man. You know what I'm saying? Rick ain't no punk. I try to tell you guys. You know what I mean? Like I said, Rick put hands on many entertainers in the industry. I'm not going to name here, you know what I mean? But, and it's allegedly that he put hands on these entertainers, you know what I'm saying? But, you know, Rick was that dude, man. And again, I think that with the Chappelle Show, it kind of ruined his career. You know what I'm saying? It didn't do the same for Prince, you know what I mean? But like I said, nobody was checking for Prince after Purple Rain, man. So how the hell can you compare the two? Prince melodically and the way he structured his songs, the type of songs he did have that one song, Diamonds and Pearls, but yo, I mean, it was so far in between the joints that came from Prince that I actually liked after Purple Rain. It was like here and there. And then he would do some weird song and be like, what the hell is this? But, you know, that's the whole nutshell of Rick James, man. Like, you know what I'm saying? Who he was. I still think he's underrated as a talent. You know what I mean, he's underrated, man. Like, again, when you talk to the youth today and you bring up Rick James, they all bring up Chappelle. You know what I'm saying? I'm Rick James. You know, that whole famous line, like that Chappelle Show really destroyed his true, what he truly brought to the music scene. It destroyed it. You know what I'm saying? Again, anytime you bring it up, is the Chappelle Show and what Charlie Murphy had to say about him. R.I.P. Charlie Murphy. He was another real one, man. All the real ones are gone, man. You know what I mean? All the real ones are gone, man. You know what I'm saying? But I'm going to read a little bit about his bio. You know what I'm saying? About Rick James. Grammy Award musician, songwriter, singer, and record producer. Rick James was an immensely popular figure in the genre of funk music. One of the most brilliant singers, Rick James has an array of number one hits on the U.S. R&B charts to his credit. Array of number one hits. Again, a lot of people say Rick James don't have any hits. What are you talking about? He begins his journey into the world of music as a young teenager who would sing in the street corners of his neighborhood in Buffalo. It was during this time that he was drawn into the violence, drugs, and street crime, a habit that will come to haunt him in his later years. Yeah, he started messing around with the drugs. Rick started dabbling in the drugs early on in his life, and then when he got the money, it just intensified his use. You know what I'm saying? Rick was already using these drugs way before he became Rick James. You know what I'm saying? But once he got the bread, he was able to get unlimited access to these drugs that eventually was his demise. But it was during his time that he was drawn into the violence. Okay, I read that. His later years. One of the pioneers of the genre of funk music. He is best known for his massive funk hits, "Super Freak" and "Give It To Me, Baby." This reinventing performer brought with him an aura of brilliance, and when he performed on stage, he mesmerized audience with his adrenaline-charged, exhilarating performances. Unfortunately, when he began to enjoy success in his career, he was personally affected with drug addiction, a habit that drew him to develop a notorious personality that eventually got him into legal trouble. Everybody knows the story, what happened. You know what I'm saying? Let's see. His known name, James Ambrose Johnson Jr., died at 56. What else they got to say about his career? In 1978, he came up with his debut album titled "Come Get It," which played a major role in launching his solo career in the music industry. The album also featured his hit disco number, "You and I." New York, that's the joint. In 1979, he released his second album, "Bustin' Out" of L7, which was released under the Gordy Records label. The album included the hit R&B track "Bustin' Out." In October 16, 1979, he came out with his third album, "Fired It Up," which was a moderate success. The album featured the tracks "Fired It Up," "Love Guns," and "Loving You Is a Pleasure." Released in the year 1980, his fourth album, "Garden of Love," featured the tracks "Big Time," "Don't Give Up on Love," and "Island Lady." The album was a success. In 1981, he came out with the concept album "Street Songs," which was one of his most successful albums. The album featured his hit tracks "Give It To Me, Baby" and "Super Freak." In 1982, his album Throwing Down was released. The album received a gold certification, but was not as popular as his previous album, "Street Songs." In 1983, he came out with the album "Cold Blooded," released under the Gordy Records label. The album featured tracks "You Bring the Funk Out" and "New York Town." He released his album "Glow." In 1985, the album featured the tracks "Spend the Night With Me," "Melody Makes Me Dance," and "Shalala." Those are joints, man. You know what I'm saying? Rick, I'm telling you, man, Rick had hits, man. Saying Rick don't have hits is crazy. In 1986, his album, The Flag, was released. The album included the tracks Sweet and Sexy Thing, Freak Flag, Are You Experienced, and Funk in America, City Little Man, and Slow and Easy Interlude. He released his album Wonderful under the Reprise Records label in 1988. The album included one of his most famous and hit songs, Loosely Rap. You know what I'm saying? That's what Roxanne Shante. Now, a lot of people don't know Roxanne Shante lived with Rick James for like a couple years. You know what I mean? Anybody know who Roxanne Shante is? She's the MC that had the battle with what's that group? Roxanne. I'm gonna be your man. Kango Kid. So, you know, she was dope as well. You know what I'm saying? She was good. She was known for battling cats and destroying them. Kango Kid didn't have a career after she battled him. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, Roxanne Shante said in an interview she lived with Rick James for like 2 years. You know what I'm saying? People didn't know that. In 1987, he came out with his final album titled Urban Rhapsody, which was released under the Mercury Records and Private Eye Records label. The album received mixed reviews. Major works, his single Give It To Me Baby was immensely successful and peaked at number 1 position on the R&B charts, and for a period of 5 weeks, the song featured in the film She's All That. Awards and achievement. In 1990, he won a Grammy Award in the category Best R&B Song for You Can't Touch This. I mean, that's the only reward he got. Like, for all those hits that he had, that's the only kind of accolades he got from all that work he put in, all them songs he wrote, for other entertainers, man. I mean, you know, again, like I said, he's very underrated as a songwriter, producer, you know what I'm saying, and artist. So, man, but that is the life and times of Rick James, man. The story of Rick James and his life. You know what I'm saying? He's one of the best that ever did it, man. And you can't take that from him. You know what I'm saying? But again, being that he's from Buffalo, New York, he don't get the credit that he deserves, man. And not only that, when the Chappelle Show came out, it destroyed any little bit of success that he might have in his career that people actually gave him credit for. You know what I'm saying? Now, if he was from New York City or, you know, anywhere in New York City, he would be, you know what I'm saying, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, on the walk, the star, where you get the star, the entertainers get the star on the Walk of Fame. He would be all that, man. He would have rewards. He would have awards galore if he was from New York City. You know what I'm saying? But being that he's from, you know what I'm saying, upstate New York, Buffalo, New York, little small city, you know what I mean? They don't give it to him. You know what I'm saying? They don't give him to him. They don't give him his credit. And he definitely deserved more credit than what Chappelle Show did to his career. You know what I'm saying? But yo, that's my take in this podcast episode. I'd like to thank everybody for tuning in. You know what I'm saying? Please share this with everybody. You know what I mean? To help my podcast grow. But that's my take. I'm your gracious host, Jupiter 9. And I just want to say peace and love to everybody. Take care. One.